Hey everyone, I just got done watching the finale of The Sorpanos. I have now watched every episode for the first time, and according to the box, the DVD box, it's 86 episodes. So I have watched them all, start to finish. I did fast forward for a few parts here and there. So I didn't watch like all of it, but I did get to the interesting parts, probably the most popular parts. So I did watch that, and here are my thoughts on it. Uh, so I did that thing where I wake up in the middle of the night. Um, I went on a walk and then I fell asleep after that. It's what is it? It's 4 a.m. right now. It's 4 a.m. and I'm doing a Sopranos review. And this picture I have on screen of Tony Soprano and Tony Bludendo. This was the only picture I could find. Well, it was the first result. So I went to go look for pictures of the show. This extremely popular and famous show back from 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. It's an extremely popular show, and this was the only image I could find. So, it's Tony Soprano and his brother, Tony Blendendo, and it's the dream sequence part, and there's Phil on the ground. Phil is a big deal in the New York family. So Phil's on the ground and he's pretending to be dead. He thinks he's in a movie. Anyways, that was kind of an awkward intro, but anyways, so I just woke up. I went straight for The Sopranos. I watched the two seasons, season 5, season 6. I watched every episode. I have not watched the bonus features on the disc. It says here there's 2 hours of bonus features. I have not watched that yet. I plan on watching the cut scenes, the scenes that didn't make it. I'm hoping that changes the show. Anyways, now that I'm starting to wake up, I guess I should do the review. So, what are my thoughts on season 5 and season 6 and Sopranos as a whole? I don't know where to start. It's a pretty complicated show. So, I think I'll start out by saying I'll start out with something easy. So, for my favorite characters, I think I have to go with Paulie. I think Paulie so far is my favorite character. I'm just gonna throw these out here, lightning round. So I'm just gonna throw this out here. So season 5, kind of boring. Wasn't a huge fan of it. The ending to season 5 was interesting, but for the most part, I just was not a fan of it. Oh yeah, and before I keep going, I'm gonna make this video, and I'm gonna assume that you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna assume you know what Sopranos is, the characters. I'm gonna assume that, so I'm not gonna go, hey, this is what Sopranos is. It's a show from, it's a crime family show. So I'm gonna explain it to you like you already seen it. I think that's how I'm gonna do this video. I know I'm late. It's 2023 and the show came out in 2000. So I'm pretty late to the scene, but I just finished it. And while I was browsing for pictures I seen a bunch of people do first reactions. So I guess there's other people watching the show. I think I will change the picture because again, this is a dream sequence. This is I think this is season 5's finale. I might be wrong on that, but I want to say it's the season 5 finale. It's the dream sequence. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this picture. It's kind of a weird one. But yeah, I just could not find pictures. I just could not find pictures, at least for the first result. I tried to find first result like pictures, and I just could not find anything. There we go. So this is the other picture I have. There wasn't many, to be honest with you. There wasn't a whole lot to pick from. So that's Phil. Phil is a big shot in the New York family. So the New Jersey family is seen as pretty weak and not a big deal. The Soprano family. And then you got the New York family, which is, you know, a big shot controlling New York, which is a much fancier, you know, New York's pretty fancy. So I just finished season 5 and season 6. So season 5 wasn't a big fan. They became experimental, I would say. That was my thoughts and feelings. They started to experiment. They did a lot more dream sequences, and the editing was all over the place. So it just feels like a completely different show. And a lot of the characters just changed, which was weird. I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but a lot of the characters just changed from what they were before. So season 5 was just really weird. I guess I'll go ahead and explain season 5. So season 5, Tony and his brother gets caught in this big crime like 20 years ago. They get caught doing this big crime, and instead of Tony going to jail, they blame his brother. So his brother goes to jail. He was like a big shot in the crime family. This is before The Sopranos was like a big deal. I think this was during the Johnny days, when Johnny was a big deal. So his brother goes to jail, and he comes out of jail, and he tries to go straight. So he does blue collar work. He works at a factory. He tries to become a massage therapist. He hangs out with Tony, and he still knows, you know, the business. He adjusts to the mob lifestyle pretty easily. So that's what season 5 was about. Season 5 is Steve Buscemi, which is a famous, you know, celebrity guest character. But that's mostly what season 5 is about, and it wasn't that good. Nothing really exciting happened. There was only like 2 fights in the whole season. It was mostly talking. It wasn't that interesting. Now for season 6, I just watched the finale a couple minutes ago, and I decided to start this up and start recording. So season 6 was, in my opinion, just all over the place. And for the most part, it just felt random. I still think season 6 is a lot better than season 5. There's a lot more going on. It's a lot more interesting. There's a lot more action. But it was just all over the place, and it was just weird. It was just very... Oh, I have the season 6 picture. So Phil is in the show a lot. I think he shows up in season 4, and then he's just in the show a lot, so you get used to him. I do have a season 6 picture. It's not very good, but I will take this down and move on to season 6. It's not a very good picture, I will tell you that. which is this one. This is the only one I could find. It's not a very good one. There we go. It's Christopher. Let's see. Oh, I thought this was the rehab episode, but it looks more like the... Okay, this is the detective episode. Or I should say Christopher's dad episode. Yeah, this is the one where they talk about Christopher's dad, I think. Pretty sure. I don't know. Anyways, I'm pretty sure this is season 6. But it could be... No, I'm pretty sure this is 6. So anyways, so season 6 I have mixed feelings about, and I probably should have wrote a script for this video, because now I'm all over the place. It is a very complicated show, so you have to give me a minute, and I am still waking up. So for season 6, I do think it was more exciting, a lot more interesting, and there was a lot of good parts, but it just felt really random, and the show just kind of ended. The show ended right as it got interesting. There was this there was this build-up, there was this plot going on for years, and it was getting interesting. There was all this build-up, all these characters were interacting. You know, people were doing stuff behind closed doors. It was finally getting interesting. You know, all these organizations and stuff. And then the show just kind of ended right as it got interesting. So for season 6, I'd give it like a somewhere in the middle. It was interesting, but the show just ended. I don't know, it was really weird. So, I still think my favorite season is season 4. And I think my favorite character is probably Polly. Polly Walnuts is my favorite character throughout the show. And yeah. So, and I could go into much more detail about each season, but I don't know if you guys want to see that. I could go into much more detail about every character, but I don't know. Like, the Vito episodes were pretty cool. I actually thought Vito was alright. Patsy was interesting. Christopher was pretty cool. There's a lot of interesting characters on the show. Silvio and all that. Carmela. So yeah, so overall, for Sopranos, I give it overall, I think I give it like a mixed bag. There's some good parts in the show. There really is. There's some really shocking, heartfelt moments, really emotional moments, and it does have its high points. But season 6 was just all over the place, and I felt like it felt like 10 people were writing it and all doing their own thing. Season 6 didn't feel very professional, if that makes sense. It was kind of a mess. It wasn't. I still think season 6 was better than most things out there. It wasn't bad. It was just all over the place and kind of hard to follow at times. I don't know if that made sense or not. But yeah, I give Sopranos like a mixed bag. A lot of high moments, but there's a lot of low moments. There's a lot of low moments. For one, I just could not stand the dinner scenes or the therapy scenes or just any scene that they just sit down and eat. That got annoying pretty quick. It was just talking. And the ones I did sit through, like nothing happened. All the stuff that happened at school, the college, them moving out, I ended up skipping through a lot of that. That was just unbearable. And Janice, it didn't matter what she did. I just hated her. So I just ended up skipping a lot of that. She was just completely unbearable. So she did become cooler at the end. I think season 6 is when Janice becomes kind of cool. But for the most part, I just found her unbearable. So this show does have its highs and has its lows. I don't know if I want to go into spoiled territory. There's a lot of... I'm trying to decide whether or not if I should spoil it. But then again, this show is like super old, so I probably could spoil it. Another bad thing about this show was probably the divorce part. So, Tony Soprano, head of the family, head of the crime family, he gets caught cheating again for like the 10th time. And they ended up getting a divorce, and he moves out. They make a big deal of it, and like less than an episode later, I think they get back together, and I don't think it's brought up again. So they get divorced, it's a pretty big deal, and then like before you know it, they're back together again, and it was pretty awkward. So stuff like that annoys me, where you think it's going to go somewhere and then it doesn't. You think, the whole cheating thing, the whole, like, going behind her back, you think that would go somewhere, but it just didn't. So stuff like that just really frustrated me. Stuff that just goes nowhere. And, I don't know, I have so many mixed feelings on this show. Like how the characters just change out of nowhere. I do think the characters like just randomly just out of nowhere change. I'm trying to think of an example. Like Vito. Vito through like 5 seasons did nothing, and you would see him in like the corner of a room, and then he becomes a big deal, and then he gets hunted down for what he did. He came out of the closet. He came out as like a homo, and he gets killed for that, or they tried to kill him. And Vito ends up being a cool character. I really like what they did of him, but like he could have, went up the ranks. He could have got promoted. He could have been a normal guy. He could have, did more crime stuff. But instead, they decided to hunt him down and try to kill him because he, got caught with a guy. So stuff like that is weird. Christopher going in and out of rehab. I feel like they can't decide what to do with Christopher. He's just all over the place. And his death scene was so bad. There's a lot of bad death scenes. I thought Christopher's death scene was just really bad. He gets like high, he drives home. It's like a business meeting, and then he messes up a churn, and then he just dies. Well, Tony kills him, but I feel like he was gonna die no matter what. And Christopher, he did nothing but good work. He was a loyal guy. He kept an eye out for everyone. He protected everyone. I think Christopher was a good character, but he was just all over the place. I think they really did have no idea what to do with them. I think they got confused at this point and just had no idea what they were, they were all over the place. So I wasn't a huge fan of his death scene. I think all the death scenes were pretty bad, actually. Which is, these characters have so much build up and they have so much reputation and they put so much time and effort into these characters. You know so much about them, and then just nothing. I don't know. It's a weird show. It's a very weird show. Another thing I should point out. This is another negative. So during this whole show, which is like 80 episodes, you're not supposed to like these guys, right? They're mobsters. They do crime. They screw over people. They're just not good guys, right? And for 80 episodes, which is like 80 hours, right? Every episode's an hour. You're just not supposed to root for them. You're supposed to not like them. Supposed to hate them. And doing that for 80 hours ended up being, it wore me out after a while. Like, hating a character for that long wore me out. So, I don't know. It's hard to watch a show where every character is a bad guy. And I know they did that. They did that before in Death Note. Everyone in Death Note was a bad guy, except for, I guess, the cops. But even they did some shady stuff here and there. But I do think Death Note was better. Death Note was, a lot better. But actually, now that I think about it, I just did a movie review on Equalizer 3. And even though Equalizer 3 was like the most generic movie ever, I do think it's slightly better than Sopranos. Sopranos is just so all over the place that it's hard for me to give it a good, solid review. And a generic movie like Equalizer 3, I just think was a little bit better. At least of Equalizer 3, they had a plan. They knew what they were doing. They had a beginning and an end, and it worked out. With Sopranos, again, right as the show got interesting, right at like the high point of the show, it just ended. And that's so frustrating. That's really frustrating. So, the finale of the show, and this is something I kind of want to talk about. So, the New Jersey family and the New York family, being built up for years. So the first season, I think, takes place in 1999, and the last season takes place in 2007. And I know that because they have newspapers. They go, "Hey, look at this newspaper, 2007, right?" So, and so the finale is the New York family and the New Jersey family finally go at it. There's this big build up for years, and they finally go at it. And it's maybe like 20 minutes, and then they stop. I don't know. They're big tough guys, but they gave up after a while. And it was just like super awkward. It was the fighting was alright. I just think it was just an awkward way to end the show. They do all this build up and then like nothing. So I don't know. Anyways, a good majority of the Soprano members get killed off, and they survive. But this one guy who I never heard of before ends up getting caught doing drugs. And he testifies against Tony, the main character. So, the finale is this guy who I never heard of. I guess he spills the beans and gets Tony in trouble. And honestly, I don't even know if that even matters. The FBI have been keeping an eye on him since the beginning of the show. And the FBI knew everything. They knew everything they were doing, and all the crimes they were doing. They knew everything about these guys, and they just did nothing. So I don't even know if that crime sorry. I don't even know if that crime testament will even do anything, because they had undercover cops keeping an eye on these guys. They knew everything they were doing, and they just didn't move in, you know? So I don't even know if that testify will do anything. I don't know. I don't know much about laws and stuff, so my final thought, I don't know, I should probably wrap this up, because I really should have, maybe I should have waited till tomorrow to make this video. Maybe I'll make it again. I'll redo it. But, my final thoughts on the show is, I probably wouldn't recommend it. It's a very shocking show. It's a very adult show. And I just would not recommend it. There are some good parts, but you do have to deal with Janice, which is unbearable. You have to deal with a bunch of other characters that I find unbearable. So I just don't think it's worth it. Oh yeah, there's one more thing I want to talk about before I end the video, I guess. I'm making this up as I go. So, if you get the DVD, it tells you who makes each and every episode. And David Chase makes like 3 of the 12 episodes. So, what I'm thinking is, basically what I'm thinking is, a good chunk of the show is filler. It's just, there's a lot of filler in the show. And I know anime has a lot of filler. But even in season 6, I do think, basically if you watch season 6, the only episode that really mattered was the finale. That was the only episode in season 6 that mattered. The rest you can probably just skip. They didn't really, I mean, they were like whatever. So, yeah, even in the final season, there's filler. And it was just, another unbearable character are just the kids. Like, all the kids on the show. Now, I do watch Digimon, and I'm a big fan of Digimon. And Digimon is about kids, like, saving the world with their monsters. So I don't mind kids. But the kids in Sorpanos are just so unbearable. They're terrible characters, and they're just, well, they're not relatable in like any way, and they're just, at least for me, I just found the kids in the show unbearable. So there's a lot of bad it's not a perfect show. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I know the show has won awards. I know everyone makes a big deal of Sopranos, but it's just not a perfect show. And I hate to, like, break someone's heart, but it's just not a perfect show by any means. I'm going to switch it to Phil. I think Phil was a good character. I think Johnny Sack was a good character. Johnny Sack was pretty cool. I think all the characters were cool, but you're not supposed to like them. You are supposed to hate them. So it made watching the show awkward. I'll end it on Phil, because I actually do like Phil. I tried to like Christopher, but Christopher's just all over the place. Kind of like this video. This video is all over the place, and that's how I felt about Christopher. And the show, I would say the show is all over the place. Like I said, there's only like 3 or 4 episodes per season that David Chase actually worked on, and the rest were basically filler. So I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna end the video. Sopranos, a lot of talk around it, big community. I can only find like 2 pictures of the show. I don't know why, but I was on Bing, and those were like the only 2 pictures I could find. And yeah, just a lot of characters I don't like. Some characters I do like. Season 5 was just really boring. Season 6 was very disappointing. Just very, very disappointing. And yeah, I will probably check out the bonus features to see if that changes my mind. Maybe the cut, the scenes they cut out change my mind, but I don't know. Anyways, sorry about this, but yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm making this at like 4 a.m. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Bye.